The Blue Ribbon Committee hearing is now called to order. For my open remarks, I'll say it both as remarks and as a prayer na rin. No? So as we all pray that since we were made in the image and nature of God, that we all be good stewards. When I was meditating on what to say, I felt of doing two things. One, reading the preamble of the Constitution. Can you open it to the preamble? In preamble. And then James 3:1. Not many of you should become teachers, my fellow believers. Baliktad, di ba? Kasi we encourage people to become teachers. So, na-intrigue ako sa verse. But it says, not many of you should become teachers, my fellow believers, because you know that we who teach will be judged more strictly. So, we who teach will be judged more strictly. So, the point I want to make is that in a time that there's so much waste and abuse of human rights, abuse of power, where finally we are realizing that we cannot abuse nature. It's not sustainable, di ba? We're a country and a people looking for models and examples. So when I read the allegations, the cancellation, the retort back and forth, mostly on Facebook, some news reports, I felt this is an opportune time, but also a caution to all of us, including the Senate, the government, that people are watching. So if we can conclude this in a very sober way and find real models. So if this is a good model at mali yung pagka-cancel, then it should be resolved. Kung may mali sa model na to and it should be cancelled, or if there's a may mga pagkakamali na nakita lang in hindsight, so we do not know. So for the record, I have not met any of you on this matter. I might have, of course, the Secretary, I see you during the hearings, ma'am, diba? I have friends on both sides and we invited everyone we can. So my prayer lang is that we can fully ventilate the model of this contract, the conservation contract, then what is the problem and what the government wants to do, and then to hear also the opposite side and to hear what also yung, by the way, this is multi administrations na, no? This isn't, so this started in 1996. So we're talking about almost 30 years, di ba? Okay. So let me end with the preamble of the Constitution. I think it's just a really good guide for all of us. We, the sovereign Filipino people, imploring the aid of Almighty God, in order to build a just and humane society and establish a government that shall embody our ideals, aspirations, promote the common good, conserve and develop our patrimony, and secure ourselves and our posterity the blessings of independence and democracy under the rule of law and a regime of truth, justice, freedom, love, equality, and peace, do ordain and promulgate this Constitution. So it's my prayer today that there'll be some clarity. With your permission, what we'll do is we'll allow the DNR, whoever the Secretary wants to brief, just tell us from the start and then up to the point where the DNR felt that they had to act on, take certain actions. Afterwards, we'll give the floor to the other side. And then after that, through the chair, we can ask questions to each other. So I'll try not to interrupt. Before that, may the Director General just acknowledge all those here and maybe...
I love Monday.com.
What's Monday.com?
You don't know Monday.com? This is Monday.com. It's
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If I may proceed. Currently present are from the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, Secretary Maria Antonia Yulo Loizaga. Attorney Ernesto D. Adobo, Undersecretary for Legal and Administration. Attorney Juan Miguel Cuna, Undersecretary for Field Operations Luzon Visayas, and Supervising Undersecretary for Mines and Geosciences Bureau, Luzon and Visayas, and the Environmental Management Bureau, Luzon, Visayas. Attorney Norlito Eneran, Assistant Secretary for Legal Affairs and Enforcement. From the Office of the Assistant Secretary for Biodiversity, Mr. Francisco B. Feliciano, Chief Protected Area Resources Management and Protection Section, National Parks Division, Biodiversity Management Bureau. Mr. Elpidio Herrera, Jr., Biodiversity Management Bureau. Attorney Anthony Raymond Velicaria, Director, Legal Affairs Service. Director Nilo Tamoria, Regional Executive Director, Region 4A. And Attorney Ray Thomas Cabigting, Assistant Director, Forest Management Bureau. From Masungi Geo-Reserve Foundation, Ms. Adeline Dumaliang, Management Trustee. From Blue Star Construction and Development Corporation, Mr. Ben Dumaliang, and Ms. Billy Dumaliang, who is the Director for Advocacy. May I request the persons who I have called to please stand and raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings? May the record show that everyone said yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And as I was reading that verse, whatever we do here will be a lesson to the next generation. So I hope we can really come up with not only finding the solution and identifying the issues, and not only coming out with the facts and sorting out the issues, but really come up with a sustainable solution. So, Madam Secretary, you have the floor, or any of your appointed officials can do the talking.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, Senator Alan Peter Cayetano, distinguished members of the committee, good afternoon. The Department of Environment and Natural Resources appears before you today to address the issues surrounding the letter of cancellation dated March 7, 2025, concerning the 2002 supplemental agreement with Blue Star Construction and Development Corporation of a property in Tanay, Rizal. There will be a separate presentation, Mr. Chair, later for the detailed chronology of events leading to this cancellation. I will focus on the legal and environmental considerations that necessitated this action. The core of our mandate is the conservation and protection of our nation's invaluable natural resources, particularly within our protected areas. These areas, like Masungi Karst, are vital for the ecological balance and provide essential services to our communities. The law, specifically the National Integrated Protected Areas Systems, or NIPAS Act, as amended, mandates strict regulation of activities within these sites. The 2002 supplemental agreement pertaining to a 300-hectare area within what geologists call the Masungi Limestone Formation was intended for government employee housing. However, a 2014 Commission on Audit Review raised significant concerns, specifically the lack of a proper bidding, minimal project implementation, and absence of a required presidential proclamation. These findings, confirmed by the DNR internal investigations spanning several administrations, and more recently upon consultation with the Office of the Solicitor General and the Department of Justice, compelled the DNR to cancel the agreement due to its legal infirmities. Let me be clear. This department respects prior rights, but these rights must align with existing laws and regulations. The area in question, straddling 3 protected areas, Presidential Proclamation 1636, the Kaliwa Watershed, and Upper Marikina River Basin Protected Landscape, is one of over 200 protected areas nationwide. It is subject to the same legal framework that governs all our protected areas. The NIPAS Act, as amended, requires all activities within these areas to be approved by the Protected Area Management Boards, or PAMBs, and to be covered by Special Use Agreement for Protected Areas, or SAPAs. This is not a special case. It is the law. As I had previously stated regarding this issue, which is among the millions of hectares that the DNR and this office preserves, conserves, and manages, everyone must comply with the law. Our approach to
Pamamanhid at tusok-tusok? Take doctor-prescribed Neurobion. It's 4 times B12 versus a generic B vitamins brand. Helps relieve these symptoms of nerve damage. Ask your pharmacist for Neurobion.
Is your agency using WordPress to build websites? That's like carving a chicken with a handsaw, drying your hair with a leaf blower, or using a baseball bat to kill a housefly. They get the job done, but they're awful to work with, kinda like WordPress. Instead, work with Duda, a website platform that's designed to help agencies build websites at scale. So stop working with the wrong tools and say, goodbye WordPress and hello Duda today.
Our approach to conservation is multisectoral. We must engage all stakeholders, government agencies, the legislature, local governments, the private sector, academia, civil society, and our indigenous peoples. Conservation is a shared responsibility. This is among the pillars of environmental conservation which this legislature has recognized with the passage of the NIPAS and e-NIPAS laws. Under our laws, any development in protected areas must be conducted through the Protected Area Management Boards, in partnership with all stakeholders, reflecting a whole-of-society approach. Admittedly, this, like many other government institutions, is imperfect and can be subject to abuse, as we have seen in the case of Chocolate Hills. Yet any imperfect institution or process, especially one created and mandated by law, cannot be unilaterally set aside by one group or family. I can say with absolute conviction that the enactment by Congress of the NIPAS law is the single most important and impactful legislation which has institutionalized the preservation, conservation, and protection of our protected areas. The Department welcomes this investigation as it provides the venue and opportunity to ferret out the truth regarding the circumstances surrounding the 2002 Supplemental Agreement and, possibly, the other onerous-related agreements entered into by the Dumaliang family and group. We particularly look forward to the answers for the following questions. Who are the true and beneficial owners of Blue Star Construction and Development Corporation and its principal stockholder, First United Constructors Corporation? What is the history of Blue Star and First United with regard government housing projects? While there are published Supreme Court cases regarding these companies and unfinished projects, are there other controversies existing? How has the Dumaliang Group treated the Dumagat Remantado of Rizal in the Masungi areas? For the information of the Honorable Committee, the NCIP, accredited and recognized Dumagat Remantado, have given their full support and backing to the cancellation of the 2002 Supplemental Agreement, where they stated in their official statement, dahil sa totoo lang, sa likod na mapanilang na advokasya ay ang mahabang kasaysayan ng pag-abuso sa mga katutubo ng Tanay Rizal. For the benefit of the international audience who may be monitoring these proceedings, allow me to translate their statement in English. In truth, behind the guise of their advocacy is a long history of abuse of the indigenous peoples of Tanay Rizal. How has the Dumaliang Group also treated other legitimate residents in the garden cottages? How much has the Dumaliang Group earned from operating their ecotourism site and resort, which is being operated on government property? How much have they remitted to the government, if any? How many housing units out of the 10,000 that is contractually obligated to deliver has the Dumaliang Group built? Ang mga beneficiaries po nito ay ang DNR, Department of Education, Department of Interior and Local Government, Department of National Defense, Department of Transportation, the Office of the President, at ang Presidential Management Staff. Finally, what is the true basis for Blue Star demanding that the government pay them 1.3 billion pesos? Mr. Chair, we look forward for these questions to be answered, as these would also guide this department as to its subsequent actions pertaining to the other contracts involving the Dumalyang Group. In conclusion, the DNR is committed to upholding the law and ensuring the sustainable management of our protected areas. We believe that only through collaborative efforts can we safeguard our natural heritage for future generations. At this time, Mr. Chair, may I request that Assistant Secretary for Legal and Enforcement, Attorney Norlito Eneran, be recognized for a brief presentation of the chronology of events leading to this cancellation. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Yusek, tama ho ba? Yusek, ASEC, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, at isang makalikasang araw po sa ating lahat. With the permission of the Honorable Secretary, allow me to discuss the several agreements entered into between the DNR, Blue Star, and Masungi Geo-Reserve Foundation Incorporated. So the DNR entered into 3 major agreements. The first 2 are with Blue Star Construction and Development Corporation, and the third is with the Masungi Geo-Reserve Foundation Incorporated. The DNR first entered into agreement with Blue Star Construction and Development Corporation to develop the Garden Cottages project, which involves the survey, design, construction, development, and marketing of the project site into a low-cost housing project for government employees. The 1997 joint venture agreement covering 130 hectares to construct 5,000 housing units. So this agreement covers a titled area in the name of the Republic of the Philippines, denominated as OCT M001, issued in 1996. This housing project shall be implemented within 5 years. The beneficiaries are employees of the DNR, DLG, DND, former DEX, DOTC, OP, and PMS through Presidential Proclamation 564 and 776. The 2002 Supplemental Agreement, which is the subject matter of this inquiry, is covering 300 hectares of the adjacent lot, which is denominated as Lot 10, to construct an additional 5,000 units, this time totaling to 10,000 housing units in obligation of Blue Star, and covers the patrimonial property of the Republic under Original Certificate of Title 3556 issued in 1959. The 2002 Supplemental Agreement also extended the housing project implementation for another 5 years until 2007.
New salted caramel craze at KFC.
I see sweet and salty crazy. Get it now. Go for crazy.
In relation to these agreements, the DNR entered into a 2006 joint venture agreement amendment, which extended once again the implementation of the housing project, but this time indefinitely, and opened the sale of the housing units to the general public. The DNR also entered into another agreement, the 2017 Memorandum of Agreement, now with Masungi Geo-Reserve Foundation Incorporated, covering an area of 2,700 hectares, with a provision granting the latter a perpetual land trust over a vast area which is also within protected areas, the Upper Marikina River Basin Protected Landscape, Kaliwa Watershed, and Presidential Proclamation 1636. At the same time, covering the subject areas of the contracts with Blue Star, the 1997 Joint Venture Agreement, and the 2002 Supplemental Agreement. In 2014, the Commission on Audit issued an audit observation to the DNR, finding that, first, there was no presidential proclamation that provides for the development of housing units. Second, there is no document to prove that additional 5,000 housing units in Lot 10 went through the regular procurement or bidding process. Third, a land larger than the original area in 1997 joint venture agreement should undergo another bidding or procurement process. And fourth, no accomplishment reports that would warrant the approval of amendment extension of the joint venture agreement. In view of its findings, the COA instructed the DNR to conduct an in-depth investigation. Hence, the DNR created a composite team to conduct an investigation and submitted its findings in 2016, which recommended that the joint venture agreement, in consonance with the 2002 supplemental agreement and the 2006 amendment, should no longer be renewed because of the following reasons. Number one, non-completion of the stipulated project within the initial 5-year period. Second, construction of various facilities without necessary permits and clearances. Third, denying authorized DNR representatives access over the site. And fourth, imposition of fees not in accordance with the Masungi Rock Ecotourism Plan and other relevant laws and regulations. Despite these reports, and also considering that there was another agreement entered into, now with Masungi J-Reserve Foundation Incorporated, which has interlocking directors and officials with Blue Star Construction and Development Corporation, this prompted another investigation. And the DNR Special Committee submitted a report in 2020. So on the findings regarding the 2002 supplemental agreement, the special committee found, among others, that number one, again, there is no presidential proclamation that provides for the development of housing units in Lot 10. Second, there is no basis for the development of additional 300 hectares of land and for the construction of an additional 5,000 housing units. Third, Presidential Proclamation 1158 of 2006 reserved Lot 10 only as sites for the new Bilibid Prison and the DNR Region 4 Calabarzon Field Office. And fourth, the proposed construction of additional 5,000 housing units in Lot 10 did not go through the regular procurement bidding process. Following those investigations and careful evaluation, the DNR canceled the 2002 supplemental agreement with Blue Star Construction and Development Corporation for the following grounds. We found some legal defects. Number one, no presidential proclamation that provides for the development of housing units. Second, proposed construction of additional 5,000 housing units in Lot 10 did not go through the regular procurement or bidding process. Third, there is no basis for grant of additional 300 hectares of land and construction of an additional 5,000 housing units since there was no substantial performance of obligations under the 1997 joint venture agreement. On the violation of specific provisions of the 2002 supplemental agreement, the following findings were included in the report. Number one, non-completion of the stipulated project within the initial 5-year period. Second, construction of various facilities without necessary permits and clearances. Third, denying authorized DNR representatives access over the site. Fourth, imposition of fees not in accordance with E-NIPAS Act and corresponding rules and regulations. Mr. Chair, the next slide would show the maps, the map showing the relative positions of the different subject areas.
Our blend, Jollibee Iced Mocha. Get that vibe with our blend of rich coffee and creamy chocolate that just hits different.
It's a vibe.
Jollibee Iced Mocha. Try it.
Areas of the agreements.
Yeah. Asek,
As
isang
well.
round lang. Can you, since you're showing the map, can you, so gaano kalaki yung total area na pinag-uusapan?
For the 2002 supplemental agreement, we're talking about 300 hectares.
Okay, then yung 1997
Then the blue one
130.
is the joint venture agreement, 130 hectares.
And then the MOA is,
2,700 hectares.
and you, where can you build supposedly dun sa lahat na yan?
In the
Sa 130 and sa 300?
supposedly in those areas.
Yung housing?
Yes.
Okay. And then sa 27, it's to conserve?
Yes,
Okay.
Mr. Chair. Yeah,
I just
that's
want-
the end of the presentation, Mr. Chair.
Ma'am, may I ask what the definition is of perpetual land trust? So is that a legal term or may definition ang... I understand that was signed before your time, but just for before I give the Blue Star the floor. Anong nabanggit dun sa presentation kanina na meron perpetual land trust dun sa 2,700 ba yan?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
So what does that mean? That means
Yeah.
forever. Kasi alam ko yung perpetual trust, but I haven't heard of perpetual land trust.
Mr. Chair, we conducted the legal research in our jurisdiction, but we found no reference on that particular
So is there any
land
other,
trust.
under DNR, is there any other contract that gives perpetual land trust?
None, Mr.
So,
Chair.
so this is the first. No, I'm not judging it muna. It could be good, it could not be good. But
Yeah.
so as per your knowledge, kasi hindi natin alam. But,
Yes, Mr. Chair. Under the Constitution, we follow that provision of Article 12, Section 2, which provides for the period of 25 years, renewable for another 25 years. And it was cleared.
Kung alienable and disposable, hindi. Even if hindi.
Yeah.
Oh,
Those classified as forest land, national parks.
you still follow?
Yes,
Oo.
yes.
Sige, kasi let's go back to that before we end. Not necessarily today, di ba? Let's lay it out so that, as you said, ma'am, may nagmo-monitor internationally, locally. I'm conscious din lang kasi ng context at hindsight, di ba? I mean, I grew up in BF Parañaque. Asinan pa talaga lahat ng katabi ng ng airport noon. Likod ng bahay namin, panay puno ng arateris, ipil-ipil. That was BF subdivision already. Taguig was, as far as you can see, vacant land. So, di ba, ang hirap i-judge yung mga proclamations at saka yung mga agreements 30, 40 years ago when it's a different situation. Having said that, one of my questions, I'll say it now, but go ahead, is that kung conservation, bakit may housing? But again, baka nga 30 years ago, it was different. Kasi ngayon, alam natin, pag nag-housing ka, it will creep into development. So, hindi mo na mako-conserve talaga yung area, no? But in the contract, nakalagay doon kung anong definition ng, or it's just plain meaning forever,
Yeah.
naka-entrust yung lupa.
Yes, Mr. Chair, it was not defined in the 2017 MOA.
Okay. And then anong kapalit nun? So I understand yung kapalit ng giving the land is yung housing, etc. Pero kung perpetual land trust, is there, ang kapalit lang to conserve, or may rent, or may share, or anong provisions?
The agreement was something to the effect of the operation of a geotourism program.
Sige. But can we all, I asked my staff to do the same thing, and let's comb through that contract. Kasi,
Yes.
di ba, that's basic sa contract law, di ba, na anong consideration, anong object ng contract and everything. So, sir, ma'am, sino pong gustong mag-brief naman, and then mamaya I have questions about the COA report, but if you have comments there, please feel free to say.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Unang-una, maraming salamat po sa imbitasyon at nagkaroon po tayo ng isang pagkakataon na marinig po yung panig ng Blue Star at ng Foundation. So, maraming salamat po dito. At gusto ko lang po unang mag-respond sa mga sinabi ng ating Secretary. Unang-una, we believe our work is consistent with the E-NIPAS law and the spirit and the objectives of the E-NIPAS law. In the terms of the E-NIPAS law, it says that the law must be interpreted liberally in favor of conservation. Kaya naman po inilathala ang mga batas na ito ay para maprotektahan ang mga nanganganib nating mga gubat. At ito mismo ang ginagawa ng Masungi at ng Blue Star. We uphold and protect and promote the E-NIPAS law, not only in Masungi, but across all protected areas in the Philippines, where we have become a big voice in terms of environmental protection. We believe that SAPA is not the only mechanism for the private sector or NGOs to participate in the endeavor of restoration and environmental protection.
Ma'am, just clarification. When you say we, that's Blue Star Construction, or is it the foundation?
For this opening statement, I'm speaking for both, Mr.
For both,
Chair.
okay.
Yeah.
No, what I meant is when you say na nationally, we become a voice for that. So both Blue Star Construction and Masungi Geo Reserve Foundation are into protecting.
Yes, very much
Yeah, just for the record lang,
corrected.
para lang. So you're speaking for both in this statement.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Sorry
Thank
to
you.
interrupt. Yeah.
Now, the DNR has unilaterally canceled a 2002 supplemental joint venture agreement that paved the way for this model. We did not receive any notices about these violations. We did not learn about this cancellation from formal processes. We just heard about it in the media, from the friends in the media. And we were not given a chance to dialogue with the DNR secretary or high officials, despite multiple requests to do so. I would like to quickly answer the factual, incorrections, factually incorrect grounds and baseless grounds for the cancellation. Very quickly lang po.
But as of now, no, you have all the time, but as of now, you've received the notice of cancellation, hindi pa?
We received it 1 week after the press conference.
And that
Mr. Chair. That was March 17.
Okay, and that was the first time you formally...
We formally received, and we have responded on March 20. In that response, we have given our rebuttals to the different grounds given by DNR. First, that there was no implementation of housing units. This is not accountable to Blue Star because according to the SJVA, the construction of these units will only come after the DNR has delivered the land free of liens, encumbrances, claims, and occupants, which until today the DNR fails and has failed to do. So, Blue Star is not accountable.
Pwede nyo ibalik lang yung mapa. So, ma'am, okay lang. Para
Sige
lang we don't go back and forth and don't have to. Yung mapa kanina nang tinanong ko si ASEC. So, dun sa tatlong area, ano yung hindi pa na-deliver or is it many parts of those areas?
I think the subject po right now is the red one. This is called Lot 10, yung mukha pong aso.
But as for your contention na hindi pa due and demandable yung housing projects because hindi pa na-deliver. So you're talking about the 300 hectares or are we talking about pati yung 130 and 2?
We are talking about the 300 hectares,
300
Mr.
hectares.
Chair.
Sa 130 and sa 27, that's fully under your control or meron din mga...
Our position is that it is already consummated,
Yes.
that agreement.
What I meant is there still other people, other groups that hindi na naalis.
Konti na lang po.
So meron din.
Meron din,
Outside the
konti.
300.
Yes, outside the 300. The second...
Let me just clarify, sir. The truth is, all of these lands were already lost by the government when we first reached the place. The 130 hectares, the 300 hectares, and the 2,700 hectares. Nawala na po ito ng gobyerno. Pabayaan, pinagpagtihan na. Hindi ho nang mahihirap, kundi ng mga may pera, may nasa posisyon, may baril. Under all these three contracts, DNR has obligated itself to clear the land of illegal occupants and of claims, liens, and encumbrances. In all these three contracts, DNR miserably failed to do so.
Well, first, let me say, sir, I understand powerful people claiming land. I mean, siguro sa generation ngayon, hindi na naiintindihan talaga yung land grabbing at saka yung mga sindikato. But I had an uncle na katutubo, nakakuha sa Antipolo. Sabi nga niya sa akin, I was a first-term congressman, sabi niya, nireserve niya ako ng 1 hektarya. And then every year he'll tell me 9,000 square na lang. And then when he passed away, tinanong mga anak, kinuha mo ba? Sabi ko, hindi naman akin yon. So whether it's small groups or powerful groups, I understand what yung context na may mga huge tracts of land. And before it was even in Metro Manila, ngayon it's outside. But yung status ngayon, sir, so meron pang occupants yung iba?
Marami ho ang actually nakakonfirm.
Sige. Pero
Kompromiso pa. Kasama ho ang isang swimming pool resort na pag-aari ng Penro ng Rizal ng DNR. Hanggang ngayon ho, hindi tinatanggal ng DNR. Andun, nakakahiya ho.
Sige, let's have joint submissions, ma'am. Kasi I think interest naman ng DNR either way is to have a clear understanding ng map, ano yung occupied at hindi. Let's have a joint submission. And mas madali nga ngayon because of the Google Earth and drones, di ba? Dati, pag medyo may security guard or may baril doon, mahirap kunan ng picture. But ngayon, because of Google Earth and magagawa na. Sige, sir. Continue.
Okay, I will continue.
Yeah.
The second grounds for
So,
cancellation.
ma'am, sorry. So your legal position is until ma-deliver 100%, you will not start the 5,000.
That is what was written in the SJVA.
May I add, sir, one reason for that, actually it was DNR who placed that provision in the contract. one reason for the delivery free and clear of the land before start of the construction work is because we want to avoid the conflicts that occurred in the first 130 hectares. Katakot-takot na problema inabot namin. Sana naman dito sa kasunod na kontrata, mag-start na ng peacefully. Meron ng katahimikan na ma-implement ng developer ng Blue Star yung trabaho na hindi yung pinipigilan, dinidemanda, binabaril. Yun ang dahilan kung bakit kailangan mo talaga libre muna yung lupa.
And the housing, so I see 4.0, project implementation shall commence within 15 days from the delivery of the land, free and clear of claims, liens, encumbrances, and occupants, and issuance of development permit, and shall be completed within 5 years thereof. So the housing was supposed to be for who? So pag nagawa yung housing, ito turn over nyo sa DNR or may beneficiaries na?
Hindi lang ho kami contractual, kami rin ang developer. Kaya ibebenta ho, subdivide, bebenta. In the meantime na andun pa yung mga inventory ng lupa, we will maintain, we will operate the village, we will secure the village. So yung contract period, hindi lang 5 years. Yung sinasabi yung 5 years is only the construction phase.
Yes. So, pero pag na-construct yung 5,000, it's a commercial venture for Blue Star or is it for mass housing?
Mass housing ho, mass housing.
Sino magiging beneficiary?
Government employees, sir.
Government employees.
Yes,
Tapos labas na kayo doon. Kung sino beneficiary?
Government, meron ng procedure na yung agency mismo nagse-certify na itong applicant or buyer is...
Then will you be paid for the houses or...
Yes, we will be paid. Kasi yung construction ay yung gastos ho sa development, galing lahat ho sa Blue Star. Wala akong equity ang gobyerno. Not a single cent.
And at that time, sir, 97-2002, was there a master plan for the conservation?
Meron akong sinabit kami sa DNR.
So kayo nagsubmit sa DNR?
Oo.
And ang basis ho nun, so for example, when you say the 130 and the 300 hectare, bakit doon yung housing? Is that area better for development and yung iba kailangan i-conserve or did we just cut it out? Anong naging logic? Ang pinaghugutan ko, sir, kasi parang sa akin may conflict yung may housing tapos conservation. Kasi usually tumutulay yun. But as I said, this was 28 years ago. So it could have been a different time and a different logic during...
Yeah, I understand perfectly.
So, anyway, I won't interrupt you na, but that's yung trend of thought ko. Baka masagot nyo in your statement. Kung hindi, I'll ask that question ulit mamaya.
Yes. Before I resume to my opening statement, Mr. Chair, according to the recitals of the SJVA, the mandate of Blue Star was to ensure the optimum use of the land, the minimal disruption to the environment, and the maximum preservation of the natural features of the area. Because the Lot 10 does not only include buildable areas, it also includes maybe 40% of it is limestone formations. Naging part ng plano for Lot 10 is to conserve. So habang naghihintay po yung Blue Star na ma-clear yung area ng DNR from illegal occupants and claimants, inalagaan ito ng Blue Star, consistent with the SJVA.
So I'm not saying, ma'am, na in 1996, 97, that might not have been a pioneering or a new way to look at things, di ba? What I'm saying, from my point of view, kung ngayon yon, there's no difference whether it's SM or Villar Group or Ayala Group that will come in kasi right now, everyone's conscious of the environment.
Yeah.
So from my point of view now, if I just look at it now at ngayon ginagawa to, parang commercial lang yung contract, hindi conservation.
You can turn any slogan or funny quote into a professional design in just minutes with one tool. Making text-only designs, whether that's shirts or anything else, used to be super hard, but that's a thing of the past because now Kittl has all of the fonts, text effects, and color adjustments that you need to make stunning designs easily. And you can bend, stretch, warp, and rise, and make it pop however you need it so your audience is going to love your design.
Kittl is totally free to try, so click the link and make an account in a matter of seconds and test it out for yourself. yourself. With Kittl, you can create work that looks like it took you hours to make in a fancy design software. Not only does Kittl have millions of design assets and templates that you can customize any way you want, but our intuitive Kittl AI will help you create stunning images, clip art, even vector images, all from just putting in a text prompt. So let's take a quick look at how it works. From the homepage, we can search thousands of templates in a variety of categories, but for now, let's click on t-shirts, and then we're going to type in camping, and look how many templates there are for us to get started with, completely customizable and ready to be used for print on demand. I love this one right here, which is a badge style, and I know it sells super well. Now let's simply change our text up here at the top just by clicking in. Then we can do the same thing down here with the bottom text, and I'll change adventure. And if it doesn't quite fit, I can use this nifty tool over here on the right to expand the text to fit this area. So easy, right? Just like that. Let's change our colors easily with the project panel down here at the bottom for our colors, change our background, and let's add a texture. We have so many different ones, but I'm going to add a grunge texture to make this look a little bit more rugged and outdoorsy. Let's clip it so it only applies to the design, and then we can change the intensity with this slider right here, and even change the blending mode to give it different effects, like this one, which is really faded. Now let's look at what it looks like on a mock-up, and that looks just awesome. But let's pick a hoodie design, which I also know sells super well. This one's really outdoorsy, and let's size it up. Perfect. That is looking so cool in just a matter of seconds. Now we can easily change the color and see what it would look like on a variety of hoodies. And if you want to try this yourself, you can test it out completely free. There's a ton of extra amazing features when you upgrade your account, but with the free plan, you can still test out a ton of different things and see how it's going to up your game before you commit to anything. Just click the link, create an account, and start creating. Right now, your designs are either taking too long or they're not quite good enough. And that's where Kittl comes in and can have an impact on your business almost overnight. If your designs and products are not getting better, your audience is going to move on to another competitor that is. So being faster and better is not just a bonus.
But as I said nga, no, that might have been different in 1997 and 2002. Diba? So that's why I'm trying to understand what did the government get by giving you the 2 lands and 3. Kasi akala ko yung 5,000 donation nyo. Diba? But anyways, tapusin nyo muna, then we can ask question. But I wanted you to have that in the back of your mind.
Sir, I understand your predicament, because we had the same predicament. When we participated in the bidding, we never knew that the land actually is part of a protected area. DNR never told us that. It was only later, about 20 years later, that we learned all of the lands around us, including the 130 hectares, are in fact inalienable, supposed to be forest lands, are not subject to occupation, development, and exploitation. Huli na anong malaman namin. At ayun naman, isa pang na-discover namin later on, meron palang 3 malalaking mineral production sharing agreements. Ayun ang malaking iskandalo talaga dyan. Bakit merong mineral production sharing agreements totaling 1,300 hectares sa loob ng protected area na sinabi ng batas, hindi dapat i-settle, hindi dapat i-develop, hindi dapat i-mina.
And that's had been cancelled, no? Yeah. So maybe, Asek, what we can do, ipatong natin yung mga proclamations at saka yung agreements na yon, cancellation over the timeline para later on when apples to apples tayo. So, Ms. Billy, sorry to keep interrupting. Sige, we'll let you finish your opening statement.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. We're going back po dun sa grounds ng cancellation ng agreement. Nabanggit din po na hindi na ayon sa procurement law ang pagkakaroon ng SJVA, ngunit ito po ay consistent with the prevailing procurement law at that time based on conditions of the land. It's contiguous, it's similar to the first agreement, so we maintain that this has complied with the relevant procurement laws. There was also a mention of accomplishment report by the COA. Again, the COA is an agency that checks the actions of government. While there is no finality to the COA's observations, an accomplishment report is definitely within the purview of the DNR and not necessarily of Blue Star. Next, I would like to take vigorous exception, and kinukuha ko na po ang pagkakataong ito sa mga insinuasyon na ang Dumalyang family has benefited unduly from all of these contracts, when in fact, it is our family sacrifice to do this for the country. Ako po, pwede na akong mag-aral abroad, mag-aral ng law. Gustong-gusto kong gawin yon. Pero nandito ako dahil may pagkakataon kaming gumawa ng maganda, ng magaling para sa Pilipinas. So I take very vigorous exception to those accusations that are made without.
Wala, paubos na agad load ko. Uy, hi Joshua!
Final from Gcash.
Now, the Secretary has mentioned that we are not a special case, but in fact, we are here today in the Senate talking about it because it is a special case. We have made singular achievements not only for the Philippines but worldwide. We have evolved into this model for conservation throughout the years despite the challenges and hardships we have faced. So again, we would like to thank the Blue Ribbon Committee for calling this hearing, giving us a chance to speak and say our side, and we would like to present a video, if you will allow, Mr. Chair, to help everyone on board from this on this issue, from the beginning to where we are today.
Yep, please proceed.
Boses ng Kalikasan, ang kwento ng Masungi Georeserve. Sa puso ng Rizal, isang himala ang matatagpuan. Dati lupang nasil na biktima ng ilegal na pagtotroso at kapabayaan. Ngayon ay isang masakalang kapatagan. Dahil higit sa 80% canopy cover. Mahigit 800 na ang dokumentadong uri sa hayop at halaman. Ito ang Masungi Georeserve, isang award-winning modelo ng konserbasyon, rehabilitasyon, at edukasyon pangkalikasan. Rehabilitasyon at edukasyon pangkalikasan. Isa ito sa pinakamatagumpay ng mga publiko-pribadong pakikipagtulungan sa kalikasan. Hindi aksidente ang pagkatatag ng Masungi. Ito ang nagmula sa isang proyektong pamahalaan para sa mga kawani ng gobyerno. Noong 1996, tumugon ang Blue Star sa panawagan ng Department of Environment and Natural Resources or DENR para sa serbisyo. Nanalo ang Blue Star sa pampublikong bidding. Ang kasunduan, lilinisin ng DENR ang lupa mula sa mga illegal claimants at occupants. Mag-i-invest at magde-develop ang Blue Star. Ngunit hindi tinupad ang pangako. Sa kabila ng maraming kautusan mula sa mga kalihim ng DENR sa iba't ibang administrasyon, hindi ipinatupad ang mga eviction orders. Sa halip, dumami pa ang mga peking claim. Naiwan ang Blue Star na mag-isa. Umaharap sa pang-aabusong armado, kasong legal, at paninira ng reputasyon. Ngunit sa kabila ng lahat, hindi sila umurong. Nananatili sila roon. Pinoprotektahan ang lupa at ipinaglalaban ito sa mga korte. Matapos ang Phase 1 ng proyekto, binisita ni Pangulong Arroyo ang lugar at pinuri ang kalidad ng trabaho. Noong 2002, pinalawak ang proyekto sa pamamagitan ng isang Supplemental Joint Venture Agreement. Idinagdag ang Lot 10, karagdagang 300 hektarya. Ang lupang ito ay naglalaman hindi lamang ng lupang maaaring pagtayuan, kundi pati na rin ang marupok na limestone formations na matagal nang pinagsamantalahan. Mandato ng Blue Star, pinakamainam na paggamit ng lupa, minimal na pagkasira, at maksimum na pangangalaga. Ang obligasyon ng DENR, tanggalin muli ang illegal occupants at claimants sa lugar bago magsimula ang trabaho ng Blue Star. Ngunit naging talamak pa rin ang mga claims sa lupa at kaunti lamang ang naging suporta ng DENR. Habang hinihintay na tumarin ng DENR ang obligasyong linisin ang lupa mula sa mga iligalista, sinimulan ng Blue Star ang pagprotekta at pagpapanumbalik sa mga hindi maaaring pagtayo ang karst. Noong 2015, sa buong kaalaman at pagsuporta ng parehong DENR at ng lokal na pamahalaan, binuksan ito sa publiko para sa low-impact, low-volume na pagbisita. Noong 2017, pinalakas ng DENR ang gawain ito sa pamamagitan ng isang Memorandum of Agreement sa Masungi Georeserve Foundation, isang tunay na modelo ng maaaring makamit ng pampubliko-pribadong kooperasyon. Ngunit kahit lumago ang kagubatan, hindi nawala ang mga banta. Nagkaroon ng armadong forest invasion, lalo na nung kasagsagan ng pandemya. Noong 2014 at muli noong 2017, isang pribadong pamilyang Tanchoco na umaangkin na mahigit 100 ektarya ng Lot 10 ang nakakuha ng utos ng korte para paalisin ang Blue Star. Sa kasalukuyan, patuloy na nagbabayad ang Blue Star ng 100,000 pesos buwan-buwan upang maantala ang mga utos na ito. Noong Pebrero 2023, nadiskubre ng Blue Star na inilipat ng DENR ang titulo ng Lot 10 sa Bureau of Corrections at sa sariling regional office ng DENR gamit ang isang 2006 Presidential Proclamation. Ang basihan ng proklamasyong iyon ay maling nagsabing hindi natuloy ang proyekto. Sa kabila ng malinaw na wika na ang proklamasyon ay subject to private rights, tulad ng kasunduan ng Blue Star. Noong March 7, 2025, unilateral na kinansela ng DENR ang Supplemental Joint Venture Agreement. Ang dahilan, inakusahan ang Blue Star ng hindi pagsunod sa obligasyon nito. Ngunit sa parehong liham, inamin ng DENR na nananatiling hindi nila napaalis ang illegal occupants at claimants. Isang gawain na sila ang dapat na nakatapos bago pa man magsimula ang konstruksyon. Isang detalyadong tugon na nagpapabulaan ng mga paratang ng DENR ang isinumite ng abogado ng Blue Star noong March 20. Ito ay higit pa sa isang legal na isa itong babala kung paano nasisira ang mga pampubliko-pribadong pakikipagtulungan kapag hindi natutupad ang mga responsibilidad at kung paano ang progreso sa konserbasyon na lubhang kailangan sa panahon ng pagbaha, tagtuyot at pagkawala ng biodiversity ay maaaring mabaliwala dahil sa maling prioridad at burokrasya. Magalang naming hinihiling sa Senate Blue Ribbon Committee, imbestigahan ng lubusan ang usaping ito. Bisitahin ang masungi. Saksihang personal kung ano ang naproprotektahan at kung ano ngayon ang nasa pangalan. Ang kinabukasan ng kagubatang ito at ang prinsipyo ng makatarungang pakikipagtulungan ay nasa inyong mga kamay.
Question, ma'am. So nasabi niyo doon na may pending court cases yung ibang lupa dyan. Tama po ba?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And I assume if hindi magkaroon ng agreement with the DNR, you will go to court. Tama po ba?
That is probably the last judgment.
Yeah. I mean, it's an... in other words, ipaglalaban nyo yung karapatan nyo. Yeah. So, I'll give both sides if they want to say anything or answer. But while we're doing that, total mag-Holy Week, time for all of us to reflect. I was thinking if the DNR can appoint 2 or 3 people, kasama na technical people, yung maplat natin, yung mga, kasi katulad sa mga proclamation, it's all, what do you call that? Coordinates di ba? So hindi man sa mapa. At the same time, there are a lot of history that, sino na ba longest serving sa atin dito sa DNR? Si Attorney Adobo ba? So, were you here, sir, nung siguro 2002 na? Ito or... Oh, but familiar ka sa case, sir? Oh, yeah. Yeah. But that's what I meant, di ba? Sila kasi they're totally familiar because sila yung nakakuha ng kontrata to call it that. Tayo sa gobyerno, napapalitan tayo. But yun nga, if you can also appoint 1 or 2 people, one person siguro technical on the conservation side, the other one, whether you're lawyer or whoever, we can have a technical working group for the next 2 weeks. I will not stop you from doing anything. I mean, whatever the secretary feels is the obligation of the DNR. Whatever you feel is your legal remedies. But I mean, if we're all seeking the truth and if we all believe gaano ka-importante itong lugar na to, for many reasons, di ba? Yung flora and fauna doon, yung protection against disasters, yung watershed, etc. If we all believe that and we all say that that's what yung intention natin, then just coming out with the facts muna and what are the issues, di ba? Mas magiging clear ito, no? So what I meant is that you can use the committee as a clearinghouse man lang of issues, di ba? Then after Holy Week, if we feel the need to have the hearing, then magharapan tayo ulit. Kung hindi, I can be personally present sa technical working group. I feel I don't feel alone naman, pero as the secretary knows and as the Dumalyang family knows, maraming resident environmentalist ang Senate kaya lang it's election period and we're in the middle, but I just thought it was too important. Both sides are airing their concerns in social media and in the traditional media and social media. So I just felt na at the very least, kumbaga sa USEC ko na, kumbaga sa law school, facts at saka issues, kahit wala pang ruling, di ba? Yung lumabas lang yung facts and then yan. Maybe I can give each side 1 or 2 more turns, then we can, I'll be conscious of your time. Everyone's busy Friday. Yung iba wala ng trabaho Monday like Senate, but yung iba may trabaho pa ng Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, no? Yeah. Sige, would you like to respond? Kung wala naman, okay lang. But if there are any clarificatory questions through me are also welcome on both sides. Opportunity nyo na rin to dahil sabi nyo nga, hindi naman kayo nagkakaharap. So, sana okay lang sa inyo ako kaharap nyo.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, just a rebuttal of the allegations earlier mentioned, especially on the due process side. There were several investigations and I was part of the investigating team at nakakausap ko po sila. Tinatanong po sila, nagkakaroon po ng discussion. So, yung cancellation...
And for the record, your assistant secretary.
Yes.
Because narinig ko naman sinabi naman nila, walang high ranking. So, natural naman sa Pilipino yun Kasi, like sa Congress, pag hindi yung congressman nakausap mo, kahit yung chief of staff, para bang hindi mo nakausap Diba? Dito, kahit paano, because they know we're only 24, pag nakausap yung chief legal namin, chief ledge, chief of staff, parang they feel na But for the record pala, tama ho ba, nagkakausap nyo rin si attorney, sorry, my eyes isn't Eneran.
Norlito Eneran.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, we have met a few times. We requested for those meetings. Hinabol po namin sila para makakuha ng meetings na yun. Because we were getting rumors na gano'n na.
I'm not saying naman you're not meeting. I'm just saying assistant secretary.
Yes,
so,
but this was before the administration of the current administration.
Okay. Your seso nga pala, so you've been there.
Mr. Chair, the point that I'm raising at is that in the conduct of investigations, nandun po sila, involved po sila dun sa discussion. And before we issue and we reported our findings, lahat po na-consider po. That's why on the allegation of the lack of due process in the issuance of this letter of cancellation is afforded po sila ng due process. And in fact, kahit mo sa jurisprudence, Mr. Chair, sinasabi doon na kahit kontrata ito, pwede ang secretary mag-unilaterally cancel if the contract is void ab initio. In this case, Mr. Chair, it's the COA itself na nagsabi na walang presidential proclamation. And we can...
So wala tayong question dun sa, can you go back to the map? So wala tayong question dun sa 1997 kasi delivered yon.
May mga,
so when you say void, are you talking about the
2002 supplemental agreement?
Which is the 300
red one,
hectares.
the red one, yes.
What about the 2017? Are we also canceling that? DNR also canceling that or wala pa tayo doon?
Yeah, it's part of our investigation but it's still for evaluation. Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. So, but sa 1997 then, delivered yon.
Still under evaluation, Mr.
Evaluation then. So right now what we're talking about is the 300 hectare 2002 agreement.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
And secondly, Mr. Chair, on the control over the area, the fact is, sila po yung nandun sa area. In fact, hindi po makapasok yung aming mga field officers pag nagkakandak ng monitoring. So, as regards the control, wala pong control ang DNR at yung mga claimants po doon sa area, if we can conduct an ocular inspection, ay sila po yung may complete control over the area. And that's the reason why bago ka makapunta doon, may corresponding fees at hindi ka basta-basta makakapag-set ng appointment hanggat walang approval po ang management ng Masungi.
Wala ba doon sa inyong agreement, yung monitoring ng DNR? Or?
Nandun po, kaya isa po yan sa mga nakita nating violation doon sa ating letter of cancellation.
Because let me be clear. I mean, when someone is administering an area, natural naman na yung security, sinong papasok, di ba? But iba yon when you're denying a legitimate authority to inspect or to monitor, di ba?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
But of course, you just walk in. But sa video nila, nang-imbita nga sila ng bisitahin. Sige, sir.
Yes, sir. I would like to set the record straight because Attorney Aaron is not saying the correct things. First, while there were occasions when we were able to talk with them, actually it was us who initiated the meetings. Second, whatever investigation they did, we never got a copy until now. We haven't received the copy of the special committee that he's referring to, neither of the COA report that they're talking about now. We were never furnished. With regards to access, it was DNR who abandoned the project. There is supposed to be an oversight committee and a secretariat who should be talking to the developer. Dahil partnership po ito eh. Kaya lang wala ko sila. Hindi nga kinoconvene yung oversight committee.
Just on that point, sir. So, ma'am, of course, you cannot answer before your term, but anyone here. So, meron nga bang parang committee to coordinate official at may point person yon? Or hindi na convene yun?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Pursuant to the agreements, may committee.
And who heads that?
Different administrations may different designations.
But I think we should get that person kasi
We
siya
will provide
makakasagot,
Mr.
diba?
Chair. Yes, Mr. Chair.
Diba? So kung may joint venture tayo, hindi ako nag-appoint sino sa office ko. Of course, if anyone walks in from my office, hindi rin kayo, but submit na lang throughout the administration sino yung naging head nun. And
Yes,
then,
Mr. Chair.
So, sinong kausap nyo all these years? So?
Wala na ho. In fact, there was a gag order in the NR upon the assumption of office of Secretary Loizaga. Kinakausap namin sila and they avoid us. I requested Secretary Loizaga many times to convene the oversight committee to meet with us. She avoided adamantly.
I'm not defending the secretary, but just as a senator kasi, minsan hindi talagang ako ang humaharap. No? But is there nga an oversight committee, ma'am, and is someone... The oversight committee is provided in the...
Under the contract.
Under the contract. So, in this administration, sino yung head nun? Wala. Sige, sir. Sige, sir. Let's just clarify that and then let's end by appointing people from both sides for the technical working group. Of course, it will be transparent. I'll meet all of you. Ang point ko lang, if I was the judge in this case, I wouldn't know where to begin. So I'll try to help with some clarity in all of these issues. No, sir. Go ahead, sir.
A very short comment,
yes, sir.
Chair, on that oversight committee. The only instance that was constituted was 1998, around 2000. It was the president of NRDC, David, who was placed there. But it was
sir, is it an oversight committee that can be convened?
Yes.
Or is it like a management committee? So i-clarify natin kasi nga if it's like a management committee, then dapat parating meron. If it's an oversight committee, just like us in Congress, sometimes we convene it, sometimes we don't. No?
After that, wala na po, Your Honor.
So it's not that the secretary did not convene it. It's that throughout the administrations, it hasn't been a platform that the DNR used to deal with them.
And I guess the reason, despite the request to convene the Oversight Committee after 2017, was
Our blend, Jollibee Iced Mocha. Get that.
2017 Secretary Gina, which covers area